We might only be halfway through 2026, but I'm gonna say it. This has been the best year for cozy games ever. And honestly, this isn't something that I say lightly, but this has truly been a wild year, with us having a brand new update for Animal Crossing New Horizons hit us in just January, and honestly from that point onwards, the cozy games just kept on rolling in. And this year has really given us a new cozy game for every type of cozy gamer. Be it games with fantastic stories, games with a little bit of chaos, and of course a cozy game that will definitely make you cry. So today I'm going to be going through my top cozy games of 2026 so far. And starting us off, we have a brand new game, and that is Go-Go Town. Now, it's no secret that I do love a good management game, but Go-Go Town puts a little bit of a twist on this genre. And instead of you just being an overarching mouse clicker that controls an entire town, you actually play as the newly appointed mayor of this failing tourist destination. And you've been tasked with the job to not only try and build this town back up again, but to also become the #1 tourist destination in the world. And I think the best way to describe Go-Go Town is that it's wonderfully chaotic, especially at the beginning, because you are of course in charge of absolutely everything. Now when you begin the game, you actually live here by yourself, so your first job is to try and convince some of the people who are visiting your town to stay. And in order to do that, they'll give you some conditions that you then need to go and meet. And this can either be paying them money to live in your town, or it can be placing certain buildings or items around in order to get them to stay. And once these villagers move in, you can put them to work. Because you see, to be a tourist destination, you need to have lots of interesting things to do. Now, the very beginning of the game, everything is a little bit chaotic because everything relies on you. Meaning that it's your job to place down the roads, start building the buildings and getting all the resources needed for them, and even running some of the stores before you've hired any staff. And this does mean that there is a lot of running and driving around just to collect all the resources you might need. But as you progress through the game, things get a little bit less hands-on. Because when you run your town, not only will you get money from your tourist spending in each of your shops, but you'll also gain research points, or they call them ego points. And these can be used to unlock a whole host of different things, like you can unlock new buildings and new shops. You'll also be able to automate some of the stuff that happens in your town, so you can hire couriers who will deliver different items to the places that need them. You'll also be able to hire people to look after the town and keep it tidy. And of course, you'll also unlock a whole host of different decorations. And the more stuff you add to your town, the higher the town rank gets. And once you've reached a high enough rank, you'll be given a set of tasks that you need to complete to level up to the next league. And this will unlock a whole host of different items and decorations for you to add once again. And I really love that this takes a sandbox game and kind of gives it a little bit of a direction. So I never really felt too lost as to what to do, because either I'd have the town tasks to complete, or I'd have the villager quests in order to get them to move into the town and become employees as well. And honestly, I think my town speaks for itself as to how much I've been enjoying this so far. I think the best way to describe my time with Go-Go Town is the fact that I picked this up to play maybe 10 or so minutes, and a couple of hours fly by almost every single time. And it truly is just such an easy game to play. And even though the Switch 2 version doesn't look quite as good as the PC version does, this does perform pretty well, albeit with a few frame drops here and there. And honestly, I think my main wish when it comes to Go-Go Town is I just want more of it. I think by the 15 or so hour mark, I had already unlocked everything that there was to unlock in the story mode, and I just want there to be more. Next up, I want to talk about the Mermaid's Mask. Now, the first thing I thought when I picked this game up was, man, I have been missing a good point-and-click game, and it's been so good to get back into them. Now, this is a murder mystery unlike anything you've played before, because this follows a pair of detectives as they try and figure out who murdered Captain Mortuga, who now lies dead by the side of an ancient cauldron inside of a submarine. So you get to control the pair as they board the submarine, explore the entire thing for clues, and interview every single person who was aboard the submarine when the captain was murdered. And a few things about this game really stood out to me. The first one was the interview style, as not only will you be able to ask each person about themselves and also where they were when the murder took place, but you can also ask them questions about everyone that you've met on the submarine so far, and also every single item that you found, all to gather as much information as possible. Meaning that you always have a reason to return to people that you've already talked to ask them about new people that you found or new items that you've come across. And some of these items are not going to be easy to find, as they're going to require you to solve different puzzles in order to access them. And these puzzles were really clever and one of my favorite parts of the game. But of course, the reason that I couldn't put this down was because of the story, which was only made better by not only the voice acting for every single character, but also the wonderful animation style of the characters talking, and also them describing their whereabouts and their alibis, which just added to the entire atmosphere. This also looks and plays great on the Nintendo Switch 2, and one thing I really like is the fact that they've given you an option as to how to play this point and click game on the Switch and Switch 2, allowing you to either use the controller as you normally would, or also allowing you to use mouse mode or the touchscreen in handheld as well. Okay, next up, let's talk about blueprints, as I truly believe that despite the fact that I take every opportunity imaginable to talk about this game, this is such an underrated gem in the cozy gaming community, and I please just beg everyone I can to give blueprints a go, as this is a game that combines truly unique puzzles with a fantastic story, and it's unlike any game you've ever played before. In Blueprints, you play as a young boy who's gone to Mount Holly, the home of his late grandfather, and the same grandfather who has left you the entire deeds to the estate so long as you can find room 46. But the reality is, room 46 is not a room that officially exists, and this room is nothing but a rumor, and it's up to you to try and make your way to it. Now, this is a game that you're going to want to play with a notepad and a pen, because nearly everything that you see and encounter in Blueprints will likely be a clue to something later on. Now, at first, the game doesn't seem like it has too much to it. You walk up to a door and you get given the option of 3 different rooms that you can place there. And then you can walk through the room, see everything that there is to do in each room, be it items you can pick up, puzzles for you to do for rewards. And then when you get to the door on the other side of the room, you'll once again be given the chance to place one of 3 rooms down. And initially the goal just seems to be to place down as many rooms as possible without getting a dead end, so you can make it to where you think room 46 might be. But the more rooms you put down, the more difficult things get. And this is only the first puzzle that you're going to encounter in a long line that slowly unravel an absolutely incredible story. And even though this is a game that you can play by yourself, my preferred way of playing this is actually with another person, because one of you will be trying to make their way through Mount Holly, while the other one jots down every single thing that you think is a clue. And you're going to need a big notebook for this game. The puzzles are so unique and so different, it'll get you thinking in a way you've never had to think in a game before, and that's why I love it. And I think the really fun part is that a lot of people say that finding room 46 is just finishing the tutorial, so you're in for a wild ride, and I've barely touched on anything you can do because I just don't want to spoil it. Next up, let's talk about Pokopia. We will not spend too long talking about Pokopia because honestly, I have talked about it endlessly on this channel, and for good reason, because this is, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, the best game of 2026 so far, cozy or otherwise. And despite the fact that 2026 is looking to be pretty stacked in the second half, you know, if Witchbrook actually releases this year, that is, I still think this is going to come out as #1 at the end of the year. Because not only was the base game absolutely incredible, and the fact that we've been having pretty much constant events coming out since its release, but we're also, of course, getting a free update that's going to introduce the ability to dive, and a big DLC, which is literally coming out less than a week after I've made this video. Now, they did finally give us a big trailer about what to expect in Wave 1 of the DLC, where we're getting a brand new underwater town. They also teased what's coming in Wave 2, which looks to be clothes and accessories for the Pokemon, which is absolutely adorable. And that's coming sometime later this year as well. And then Wave 3, all we really know so far is that's going to be another brand new town. And I feel like Pokopia is giving us what Animal Crossing was afraid to at this point. But to put it quickly, Pokopia truly did it all. Not only did the game have a fantastic story that saw you, a Ditto, turn into a weird morphed human and try and restore the world so the Pokemon can live once again, but alongside the story there was so much else to do, be it finishing the Pokedex, trying to collect all these mysterious slates, decorating to give your little Pokemon the best home, and unlocking all of these incredibly beautiful areas for you to explore and uncover all of its secrets. And I think the best part about Pokopia is it's truly a game for everyone. My dad wasn't into Animal Crossing, but he's got 150 hours in Pokopia. My mum really only plays Animal Crossing and has like 250 hours in Pokopia. And I find myself continuously coming back to do little pieces here and there before the DLC releases, and I get obsessed all over again. And this to me is Nintendo's first big console seller for the Switch 2, because it is truly just that good. Next up, we have another recent release. This is Cozy Grove Camp Spirit, which is effectively just Cozy Grove 2. Now, Cozy Grove was a game I absolutely fell in love with. And that's for one big reason. It was a game that easily became a part of my daily routine. If you don't know, the Cozy Grove franchise is one of those games where it's designed to be picked up little and often, which does mean that for some people this is exactly what they're looking for, and for other people not so much. But for me, this has definitely found its place in my gaming routine, because this is far more than just a chore simulator. Because in Cozy Grove, you play as a spirit scout who's been separated from their entire group after their bus unexpectedly crashed. And you find yourself stranded alone on a mysterious island. And this island is pretty unique because it's actually filled with these ghostly spirit bears who actually need your help to remember their past and find peace. And you know this is a game that's going to absolutely destroy you when the Spirit Scout's motto is a simple but hard-hitting one. All those who are lost deserve kindness. And it's this kindness which makes this game ultimately so wonderfully bittersweet. Now, in order to help these bears, you're going to need to do little tasks for them. Now, for the most part, these are just simple fetch quests, which will see you going across the island and trying to find various objects, which you either hand straight back to the bears, or you craft into something the bears want. And once you've carried out enough quests for the bears, you will not only be rewarded with a spirit log, but you'll also be rewarded with them remembering a tiny bit of their past, allowing you to not only get to know them a little bit better, but ultimately also helping them to find peace. And with every log that you find, the island will open up a little bit more, allowing you to find new bears who need your help in different ways. Now, much like the original Cozy Grove, these bears have been written wonderfully, with each of them being so unique, but their problems still so human. And their stories are equal parts beautiful, but also a little bit devastating. Now, the only catch is that typically most of the bears will only have 1 or 2 tasks for you to do before they're done for the day. So there will come a point where you basically run out of quests for you to do that day, and the game does tell you to log off and come back tomorrow. And for the most part, I found that the daily quests themselves last anywhere from about 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on what type of quest you get. But so far, I have been having a great time with it. It doesn't change a whole lot from the original game, but I love that one, so I'm not sure I'd want it to. I do have a few minor issues with it. It doesn't run the smoothest on the Switch 2 as of right now. It does seem a little bit jittery at some points. I also seem to be fighting with the storage mechanic because it always seems to be full. And also doors are something that I'm having a little bit of an issue with, as you just have to find the exact right spot to be able to press A and go through them rather than just walking through them, which seems to be a weird decision. But overall, for its price, it's been a great time. Next up, let's talk about Tomodachi Life. And again, this isn't a game I'm going to spend too long talking about, but it has been a personal highlight for this year, purely because of just how funny a game it's been. I always say this, but if I am in need of a pick-me-up, or if I just don't know what to play, Tomodachi Life is my go-to. And that's because it's basically a drama sim. You don't necessarily have to play, you just at a certain point get to watch the chaos unfold, which some days is exactly what you're looking for. And if you're someone who's new to Tomodachi Life like I am, this is a fantastic starting point. You don't need to know anything about the game going into it, just that it is a reality life simulator, as you get to create your own characters, throw them into a world which you can decorate, and watch them interact with one another. Because unlike The Sims, you don't really get to fully control their actions, and instead it's your job to just watch it unfold. And I think that's the part I love the most. You don't have to be all that active at playing it to have fun, making it the perfect game to play when you don't want to play a game. Now, do be warned, this is a little bit of a make your own fun sort of situation, but I will say, even if you're not artistically talented or consider yourself all that funny, you will still have a big laugh at Tomodachi Life, because some of the cutscenes and some of the things that happen are so bizarre. I think the only big thing to bear in mind with Tomodachi Life is it will get a little bit repetitive. You will start to see cutscenes repeat over time. I think after about the 40-hour or so mark, it was getting a lot rarer for me to find a brand new cutscene. But I think I truly have never laughed as much as I did when I played Tomodachi Life. It was such a good time. Okay, next up we have Moonlight Peaks. Now, we have spoken about this before in my last video, but a lot of things have changed since that came out. As not only have I played an awful lot more of this game, but we've also finally had the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 bug patch. Now, for the most part, this was just fixing a ton of different quests that were a little bit buggy, but a few big things have changed. One of the big things is performance, which is definitely better, but still not 100% fixed. I still get frame rate issues here and there. And whilst the loading screens have been reduced somewhat, they're definitely not down as low as I hoped they'd be. There has also been some quality of life changes. The biggest and most noticeable one is the fact that you can now access your unlimited storage anywhere on your plot rather than needing to be inside your house. And even though this is the first big patch we've gotten, it definitely will not be the last. Now, I will say, as much as I have been enjoying my time with Moonlight Peaks, I definitely don't think it's the farming sim for everyone. Personally, I've been enjoying it being like a sort of change of pace to how I'd normally play a farming sim, which is why I've kind of described it as being a story with a farming sim element to it, as opposed to being a farming sim with a bit of the story, as the story is the driving force for everything that you do in Moonlight Peaks. You could also describe this game as being a vampire drama simulator, because sometimes that is what it feels like. The game begins with you, the child of Dracula, moving into the town of Moonlight Peaks, which is much to the dismay of most of the villagers, because it turns out your dad wasn't a very nice guy to everyone, which probably isn't all that surprising considering he's Dracula. But your problems only really start there, because Moonlight Peaks has an awful lot going on. There's a whole lot of different people who live in the town. You have different factions of vampires, you have werewolves, witches, and seers who all sort of tolerate each other, but don't really get on all that well. I mean, even some of the groups themselves don't even get along in this. And you've sort of moved in and decided to try and fix everyone's problems and try and bring the town back together once again. Now, the thing that really makes Moonlight Peaks stand apart is just the way you get to embrace the story, as it's all done through these cutscenes, allowing you to get to know each of the characters and often resulting in you needing to do something in order to fix the situation that's just happened. And a lot of these quests and tasks you'll be sent on are going to revolve around farming sim stuff. Like one of the early quests is going to see you make wine. You'll also be needed to grow lots of magical crops and even tend to magical animals as well. But I think this reliance on the story is either going to be something that draws you towards Moonlight Peaks or pushes you away, because this is really a pretty slow farming sim. Because often a lot of the story elements that you'll be doing might rely on you hitting a certain date, and this can mean on the days where you don't have any of the main storyline quests, especially early on before you've unlocked the museum and the bulletin board with a bunch of other quests for you to do, can sometimes make it feel like you don't have a whole lot to do and you just kind of resort to trying to make money. And whilst I do like the relationship system as a whole, because once you get more hearts with the character, you unlock different cutscenes that allow you to get to know them better, the dialogue outside of these moments and the main storyline can be a little bit lackluster. And also, as I've said before, the events have been very hit and miss. Some have been very fun and some just haven't given me much to do whatsoever. But the main thing I wasn't expecting was that you will be unlocking new mechanics throughout the entire duration of the main storyline. At around the 35-hour mark of the game, I had still only unlocked one of the transformations that you could do, meaning that there's still 2 to go even this far throughout the game. And this is present throughout every element of the game. The mines have areas that's cordoned off that you won't reach until later on. You'll also come across new areas of the map very gradually as well, and even brand new characters will pop up all throughout the story. But the one thing that surprised me the most is the fact that this is also true for quality of life features, as a lot of these will either be unlocked by doing the story itself or by doing things like catching all of the soul blobs, with some of the biggest ones being shortcuts so you can cut down on the loading scenes, and also an ability to recover all of your mana at one time, which I won't show because I don't want to spoil anything, but just know these are coming, albeit later on in the game. So whilst this may not be the farming sim for everyone, I've enjoyed the fact that it is different and a change of pace from everything else. It's just a shame that it's being plagued down by some quality of life issues and also some straight up bugs that unfortunately still are yet to be fixed on the Switch 2 as of right now. Next up, let's talk about wax heads, because as I keep on saying, this game is criminally underrated. No one is talking about this enough. If you're a lover of Tiny Bookshop, then you're probably gonna love Wax Heads, as this is once again a game where someone will come in and ask for a recommendation, and it's up to you to try and find them the right, in this case, record. But the thing that really changes this up is not only the story that goes alongside everything, with you going into a failing record store and finding out about the record owner's past life that leads to all sorts of drama, but also the way the records work, because all of the music in this game is original, and you'll basically be puzzle solving to try and find the right record for each person, as sometimes they'll come in and describe the appearance of a record, other times you'll have to use all of the music news that you get given to you in the game as you start each day to piece together what record they might be talking about, and other times you might even have to rely on your conversations with other employees to try and piece together what on earth this customer might be after. The thing I really like though is that you're not stuck behind your counter. There's plenty of things that will happen in the game that will get you outside of the building, which I really enjoyed. This is just everything I look for in a cozy game, and I can't recommend it enough. The final game on today's list is another franchise I adore, and that's Coffee Talk Tokyo. At this point, I feel like I need to make a list of games that have made me cry, because Coffee Talk Tokyo managed to do exactly that. And even though I am a lover of every single Coffee Talk game I've played so far, I genuinely think this could be my favorite, because some of the stories of the customers just really stuck out to me. Now, this is not a direct sequel, as Coffee Talk Tokyo takes place in a brand new cafe, you guessed it, in an alternative version of Tokyo. A world where humans and yokai walk together. And you once again run a late night coffee shop, which, as you probably guessed, is not all that busy. But that does allow you to get to know each of your regulars well, by simply just chatting to them whenever they come into your store. And this allows you to really get to know each of your customers, not only through their conversations with you, but also their conversations with each other. And piece by piece, you get to learn a little bit more about their lives and the world in which you live in, even if it is just through the eyes of the customers. And even though the game begins with a bunch of individuals who simply just like coming to your store, somehow together it tells a wonderful story, and a story which you do get to control through the drinks that you brew for your customers. You see, unfortunately, lots of the people who enter your shop don't actually know what they want to order, and will instead give you a vague description of either the vibe that they're feeling or the flavors that they like. And it's up to you to try and make them the right drink. So this will require a fair amount of trial and error, because even the order in which you add the ingredients will matter as to which recipe that you get, and whether or not you've made the customer the perfect drink. And if you get these drink orders right each and every time, you should get the happy ending for each of your customers. But the chances are you might not manage that the first time you play it, which is why this is a game you'll definitely want to play more than once. And whilst this doesn't really change all that much from the previous games, this just adds in the ability to use a stencil to make your drinks look pretty, and the fact that you can now serve cold drinks alongside hot ones. It does everything that I loved from the previous games, and I'm glad it didn't stray too far from those. So if you're looking for something to play before bed, or something relaxing to take your mind off of everything, Coffee Talk is the game for you. But that's it for my top cozy games of 2026 so far. I'm sure this will change at the end of the year, because there are so many fantastic upcoming cozy game releases to look forward to, which you can see in this video here.